There's a fort in India where the government legally prohibits entry after dark, not because of animals, not because of terrain, because of what happens after sunset. The world is full of charming little towns, cobblestone streets, mountain views, that one cafe where everybody knows your coffee order. But then there's the other map, the one where radiation detectors start clicking, where entire cities were abandoned overnight, and where the locals stop making eye contact when you ask about the screaming. These aren't theme parks with fake blood and exit signs. These are real places, documented, infamous, and deeply, deeply wrong. Some are slowly sliding off cliffs, some are frozen in time by disaster, and a few are just waiting for their last resident to finally leave. We're counting down the 10 creepiest towns in the world, the kind you've probably heard of but never want to visit. Think you know creepy places? Cool, but have you been to the town where radiation will outlast your great-great-grandchildren? Or the forest where over 500 people went to die? Yeah, didn't think so. Hit subscribe, not for me, for you, because the next time someone suggests visiting that abandoned nuclear disaster site or that haunted Japanese forest, you'll know exactly why that's a terrible idea. Let's break it down. Number 10. Pompeii, Italy. Ancient city. Volcano erupts. Everyone dies. And Italy said, let's make this a tourist attraction. In 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius buried Pompeii under 20 feet of ash in under 24 hours. About 1,150 bodies found, but archaeologists estimate at least 2,000 died. And because of the ash, their final moments were preserved in plaster casts. You can see their faces. Annual visitors, over 2.5 million. Temperature during eruption, 570 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to boil your brain in seconds. Plaster casts, over 100 on display, each showing someone's last second. You're not just looking at ruins, you're walking through someone's kitchen, reading graffiti they scratched the day before they died, standing where a mother shielded her child and neither made it. One thing that stays with people is the dog. A chained dog, twisted in agony, trying to escape as the ash buried it alive. That image follows you home. And if Pompeii felt too historical to be scary, the next town is active, inhabited, and literally sinking into hell. Number 9. Pripyat, Ukraine. There's a town in Ukraine frozen in 1986. Ferris wheels still standing. Classrooms still have textbooks open. Teddy bears still sit on beds. Radiation levels are still high enough that you need a Geiger counter. Welcome to Pripyat. On April 26, 1986, Reactor 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded. Pripyat, home to 49,000 people, sat less than 2 miles away. The Soviet government waited 36 hours to evacuate, told residents they'd be back in 3 days. They never came back. Population today, 0. Radiation levels remain elevated in hotspots. The amusement park was scheduled to open May 1st. It never did. The Ferris wheel never carried a single passenger. Schools have gas masks scattered on floors. Hospital beds still have patient charts. Walking through Pripyat feels wrong. Not haunted, just wrong. Trees grow through apartment buildings. Moss covers Soviet propaganda posters. And somewhere in the distance, your Geiger counter starts clicking faster. Picture this. You're standing in a kindergarten, small chairs in a circle, a mural of happy children on the wall. Your radiation detector spikes. You're standing on contaminated moss. How fast can you leave? Number 8. Oradour-sur-Glane, France. There's a town in France where time stopped in 1944 and never started again. The cars are still parked, the bicycles still lean against walls, and bullet holes mark every building. This isn't a museum, this is a grave. On June 10, 1944, Nazi SS troops massacred 642 people here in a single afternoon, locked women and children in the church, and set it on fire. France said, never rebuild it, so they didn't. Population today, 0 living residents, 642 ghosts. Preserved buildings, over 200, frozen exactly as they were. Tourism, over 300,000 annually, but no one stays long. The thing is, Oradour-sur-Glane isn't haunted by paranormal activity. It's haunted because you can still see the baby carriages, still read the bakery sign, still stand in the church where they burned. The French government maintains it in arrested decay, letting the rust spread so you never forget. Even the flowers growing through rubble look accusatory. Imagine standing in a schoolyard where kids played 80 years ago, now just wind, weeds, and a plaque that says they never came home. And if that didn't shake you, the next town makes people disappear without even trying. Number 7. Aokigahara Forest, Japan. There's a forest in Japan where over 500 people have gone to die. It's called the Sea of Trees, sits at the base of Mount Fuji, and it's so quiet you can hear your own heartbeat. No birds sing here, no wind moves through the trees, and if you venture off the main path, you'll find signs begging you to reconsider. Aokigahara has been Japan's most popular suicide site for decades. Police conduct annual body sweeps, volunteers patrol the trails, signs throughout about the forest plead. Your life is a precious gift from your parents. Total deaths, over 500 documented since the 1950s. Forest size, 14 square miles. What makes Aokigahara especially eerie isn't just the death count, it's how the forest seems designed for disappearance. The trees grow so densely that sunlight barely penetrates. The volcanic rock absorbs sound. You can be 30 feet from a major trail and feel completely alone. And that's when people find the items left behind. Sometimes they find worse. Volunteers say it changes you. One said, "The silence is the worst part. Tourists visit for the scenery, but there's an unspoken rule. Stay on the marked paths. Because once you're off trail, the forest doesn't want to let you go." Imagine walking through Aokigahara at dusk. The path markers thin out. Your phone has no signal. In the distance, you see a tent. Do you investigate or do you run? Number 6. Hashima Island, Japan. There's an island off the coast of Japan that was once the most densely populated place on Earth. Then the coal ran out, everyone left, and now it's a concrete ghost ship slowly sinking into the ocean. Welcome to Hashima Island, also called Gunkanjima, Battleship Island. At its peak in 1959, Hashima Island packed 5,259 people into 16 acres. Mitsubishi built apartment blocks, schools, hospitals, theaters to house coal miners working underwater seams beneath the island. Then in 1974, the coal was gone. Mitsubishi closed the mine. The entire population evacuated. Current population, 0. Buildings, 30 concrete apartment blocks, most now crumbling. Accessible only on guided tours. The island is literally falling apart. Hashima Island isn't creepy because it's haunted. It's creepy because it's a monument to abandonment. Concrete buildings stand empty, windows shattered, hallways collapsing. Schools still have desks. Hospitals still have equipment. Typhoons batter the island every year, tearing off concrete, flooding lower floors. One tour guide said, "Every time I bring people here, there's less island than before. What gets people is how fast it was abandoned. Shoes still lined up at doorways. It's like everyone vanished mid-routine. Imagine standing in a hallway of an abandoned apartment block. The floor is cracked. You can hear the ocean below, and you realize you're standing in what used to be someone's home." Number 5. Centralia, Pennsylvania, USA. There's a town in Pennsylvania that's been on fire since 1962, a coal mine fire that won't stop. Population dropped from over 1,000 to 5, and those 5 refused to leave. Someone set fire to a trash dump that ignited an underground coal seam 63 years ago. The fire's still burning, expected to burn another 250 years. The government evacuated everyone, condemned buildings, erased the zip code. Current population, 5. Temperature beneath, up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Sinkholes, frequent. The ground literally exhales smoke. Walking through Centralia feels like walking on a sleeping dragon's skin. Cracks in the road hiss steam. The air smells like sulfur, and the ground just opens up. What's left is a ghost town still burning. The last 5 residents have fought the government for decades to keep their homes. One said, "I'll die here." Imagine walking down the main street of Centralia. The pavement is cracked. Steam rises. In the distance, one house has its lights on. Someone is still living there. Number 4. Kolmanskop, Namibia. There's a town in the Namibian desert where diamonds made millionaires overnight, then the sand swallowed everything. Kolmanskop was once the richest town in Africa. Now its rooms filled chest deep with sand dunes, wallpaper peeling in geometric patterns, and bathtubs buried under decades of desert. In 1908, a railway worker found a diamond near Luderitz, Namibia. Prospectors flooded the area. Kolmanskop became a German colonial town with a hospital, ballroom, school, theater, and the first X-ray machine in the southern hemisphere. Population peaked around 1,200. By 1954, the diamonds were gone. Everyone left, and the Namib Desert moved in. Current population, 0. Buildings, over 100, mostly buried in sand. Diamonds found, an estimated 1 ton. Tours are available, but you're walking through collapsing buildings filled with sand. What makes Kolmanskop unsettling isn't ghosts. It's how thoroughly nature reclaimed it. You'll walk into a living room filled with sand like water. Dunes cut perfect lines across walls. Furniture is buried where people left it. This was a place where people got rich, built European-style mansions in the African desert, and thought it would last forever. It lasted 46 years. One tour guide said, "People come here for photos. They leave thinking about mortality. Every building is the same. Doors open, sand inside, and the desert saying it was here first." Imagine standing in what used to be a grand ballroom. Sand covers the floor. A chandelier rusts above, and you realize, no matter matter what we build, the desert always wins. Number 3. Krakow, Italy. There's a medieval town in southern Italy perched on a cliff that everyone abandoned. Welcome to Krakow. Krakow was founded in the 8th century. For over 1,000 years, people lived in this hilltop town in the Basilicata region. Then, in 1963, the landslide started. The cliff Krakow sits on is made of clay and sand, and after centuries of erosion and earthquakes, it started sliding. By 1980, the entire population of 1,800 had evacuated. Current population, 0. Buildings, over 100 medieval structures, all abandoned and slowly collapsing. The town is literally sliding down the cliff it sits on. Krakow's been used in films because it looks apocalyptic. Walking through Krakow feels like walking through a place that's given up. Buildings lean at impossible angles. Streets crack and buckle. Churches still have frescoes on the walls, but the roofs have caved in. And every year, more of the town slides down the cliff into the valley below. You can visit Krakow, but only on guided tours. The ground isn't stable. Buildings collapse without warning. One tour guide said, "We lose a little bit of the town every year. What's haunting about Krakow isn't ghosts. It's the knowledge that people lived here for 1,000 years, and then the ground itself said, no more." Imagine standing at the edge of Krakow. You hear a crack. Somewhere, another stone shifts, and you realize this town has been dying in slow motion for 60 years. Number 2. Nagoro, Japan. Here's a village in Japan where the population is 27, except only 27 are human. The other 350 are life-size dolls. They sit on benches, wait at bus stop, posed in the school, in fields, and the woman who made them says they represent people who left. Welcome to Nagoro, the Valley of Dolls. Nagoro is tiny, deep in Shikoku's mountains. Young people left for Tokyo and Osaka. Population collapsed. One woman, Ayano Tsukimi, decided to fill the void with dolls. Started in 2003, now over 350 scattered throughout. Human population, around 27, mostly elderly. School closed 2012. The dolls still sit at desks. The dolls aren't creepy traditionally. They're well-made, lifelike, dressed in real clothes. But that's the problem. They're too real. You'll turn a corner and see 3 on a bench. Your brain keeps insisting they moved when you weren't looking. Ayano makes them to keep the village from feeling empty. Each represents someone who used to live there. One blogger wrote, "Nagoro isn't haunted, but it should be. The dolls don't scare you. They remind you everyone who mattered is gone." Imagine driving into Nagoro at dusk. You see figures everywhere, standing, sitting, waiting. Then you realize none of them are breathing. Number 1. Bangar Fort, India. There's a fort in India where the government legally prohibits entry after sunset and before sunrise. Not because of wildlife, not because of terrain, because of what locals say happens after dark. Welcome to Bangar Fort, the most haunted place in India. Built in 1573, Bangar Fort was once a thriving town with temples, markets, and palaces. Then in 1630, according to legend, a wizard cursed the entire town after a princess rejected him. Within a year, everyone was dead, the town was abandoned, and 400 years later, the Archaeological Survey of India posted official signs reading, "Staying after sunset is strictly prohibited. Current population, 0. Peak population, estimated 10,000. Official warning signs, yes, posted by the Indian government. Trespassing fine, legally enforced. No one from surrounding villages will go near after dark." What makes Bangar different is the government's involvement. This isn't folklore. The Archaeological Survey of India explicitly forbids entry after dark and enforces it. Why? Because people reported psychological breakdowns, injuries, disappearances. Locals say you hear voices calling your name, shadows move between ruins, and people who stay past sunset don't come back the same. Some don't come back at all. Tour guides will take you during the day, but as sunset approaches, everyone leaves. Fast. One guide said, "I've worked here for 20 years. I've never stayed past sunset. I never will." Imagine standing in the ruins of Bangar as the sun sets. Your guide is gesturing for you to leave. Behind you, you hear footsteps. You turn. No one's there, and you realize he's not worried about getting fired. He's worried about you, and there you have it. 10 towns that prove the world's creepiest places aren't always remote, aren't always abandoned, and definitely aren't always dead. Some are burning, some are watching, and some are just waiting for you to make a wrong turn. So next time someone suggests an off-the-beaten-path adventure, maybe double-check the map. Because the beaten path exists for a reason. It keeps you away from places like these. Thanks for watching. And hey, if you survive this list without closing the tab, you're braver than most, or more disturbed. Either way, subscribe, because next time, we're going even darker.